Hi, guys. Welcome back. Welcome to X over here, Facebook and YouTube over here. My glasses are really dirty. I'm a little late. It is Monday, October something, the 5th, I believe. And I am here to check in with all of you, with my folks and friends on Facebook and on X. It's day 278 of my living experiment. And thank you to everyone who is joining me. Today, of course, because it's Monday, is the day that we talk about what's coming up in the Free State this week. So first, I wanted to do a shout out for Constance Spencer. If you could keep her in your thoughts and prayers. And she's having an operation today for some medical stuff. I know we've sent flowers, and she checked in this morning. So far, so good. But, it never hurts to keep your friends in your thoughts. I'm going to make one joke, which is we are currently in an Indian summer. So it's about 84 degrees. So let's say it was 85 degrees today. And the temperature is going to drop by at least 20 degrees tomorrow, as if the temperature saw a state trooper. So we're going to drop from 85 to 65 tomorrow, like you saw a state trooper. All right, let me tell you quickly about this situation that happened with Eric. Eric is our executive director of the Free State Project. What is the Free State Project? It is a 501c3 nonprofit, educational nonprofit that talks about the advantages of living in the great state of New Hampshire, which includes, of course, low taxes, small limited government, localism, right? All those good things that we believe in. And Eric had gone on a cruise with some friends down in Florida. I guess they went to, I want to say it was Puerto Rico, although don't quote me on that. I remember seeing a photo somewhere on one of my feeds. And as he was coming back to the US, he was detained for about 90 minutes by Border Patrol. They went through, confiscated his laptop, his cell phone, read his journal, which seems like a wild violation of rights. Of course, all of those are violations of your Fourth Amendment rights. And then basically interrogated him for about 90 minutes, asking about what the Free State Project's about, asking about Defend the Guard, sort of intimating, I guess this is based on his X post, that, anyone who supports Defend the Guard, which is legislation that says if you have a National Guard, your state's National Guard cannot be sent to a theater of war unless there is a congressional declaration of war, as is literally required by the Constitution. And so they were sort of implying that standing for Defend the Guard legislation meant you were building a militia. And anyway, it sounds like it was kind of a shitty experience for Eric. Now, he said in one of the answers to questions to his ex post this morning that he thinks, or what they told him initially, was that he was flagged because it looked like his suitcase was too heavy or his bag was too heavy. And I find that sort of interesting because, of course, the framing was, hey, I'm this freedom fighter, which he is, undoubtedly, that got caught up in this thing. But really, he was just Joe Schmo. And someone was like, your bag looks too heavy. We're going to pull you out and violate all your constitutional rights, right? So it wasn't an issue of a freedom fighter being taken down. It was an issue of Border Patrol violating people's constitutional rights, Fourth Amendment rights. Some of us have been doing this work long enough where you might know there's actually a product you could buy back in the day when they introduced the Patriot Act, the totally ridiculous illegal response to 9/11. You could buy these little cards that actually had the Fourth Amendment printed out on it, and you could put it in your pocket, and then when you go through the scanner, it would alert, and then the agents would actually have to like take out the Fourth Amendment, tell you, that you're not allowed to have this, and so it was sort of like a old-timey troll of their process. But of course, what we have seen is due to the dysregulation of people's thought process regarding immigrants, right? Like all this, like me, nationalism and all that stuff is actually, some of that is manufactured. How do I know? Because I went through the 90s, and in the 90s, there was a very similar narrative to anti-immigrant stuff. And so ironically, of course, someone like Eric was a Republican senator, voted for Trump openly, there are posts about it. And so now we are seeing some of those consequences of over empowering or looking away, when you have the military ripping people off the streets in America. We should all be a little concerned about that. And we shouldn't just look away because we're like, your guy is doing it or my guy is doing it. It's like, well, it's kind of un-American to rip people off the streets. So maybe we should all be concerned about that. How about that? All right. This week coming up in the Free State, there is a lot coming up. And the ones I really want to highlight so that you guys don't miss out is this weekend, which of course is Columbus Day weekend, and it sure is pretty here this time of year. You can't complain. It's leaf peeping season. I mean, I guess the highway was backed up like from Boston to Canada yesterday. Every single person who wanted to peep at the leaves came and peeped at the leaves, and so there was a lot of traffic. And honestly, I couldn't even tell off social media if people were gaming the system. They'd be like, "Oh no, the leaves are terrible, don't come up here." But of course, people do come and should come, and it is a good time of year to come explore New Hampshire. And so this Fall Fest coming up on Saturday and Sunday, and even on Monday, we'll have a whole bunch of things going on. So on Saturday, there is apple picking. That is October the 11th at Mac Apples on Mammoth Road, and that is 1:30 to 4 p.m. And this is open to you and your families, freedom-loving families. You can find Amber for that one. And there is also on the same day, so Saturday, there is the Rugged Axe experience that is taking place at the Rugged Axe in Manchester on South Willow Street, and that is 5 to 7 p.m. Now, if you haven't done the axe throwing before, highly, highly, highly recommend. So fun. You'd be surprised. You're going to be better at it than you thought. You're going to like channel your inner Viking, and you're going to be like, yeah, this is fun. And that's not just because I discovered, oh, I'm kind of good at axe throwing. It's a lot of fun. Highly recommend. Saturday, 5 to 7 p.m. All right. Then on Sunday, which of course is when FSB DAC is taking place. What is that? That is the Free State Bitcoin Digital Asset Conference, now in its 77th year, which is only harder to say or less hard to say than 20,000th, because that one's really hard to say too. How do I know? Because I triggered the move with the help of so many Free Staters back in 2016. And so I had to say the word 20th in 20th thousandth in the media a lot. It's a lot of thing. Okay, Saturday is the apple picking and the axe throwing. Sunday, we have FSB DAC over at the Wentworth by the Sea. This is a really nice hotel out in the Seacoast area. If you have not registered for that conference, it is free thanks to the Fentons. You can go to blockchainnh.com and register for that. If you're maybe like super into crypto and your partner or your friends or your family or your kids are not, you go to FSB DAC and your family can go to the Full Fest. That is how we designed it. So Sunday, October 12th, there is a arcade day that, of course, is at Fun Spots in Laconia. You can meet up with Lily Tang Williams there, and that is Sunday, October 12th, from 12 to 4 p.m. And basically, it's Fun Spot is just really fun to go to. It's huge. It is the largest arcade in the world. There's over 600 games, 20 lanes of bowling. There's an 18-hole indoor mini golf restaurant. There's a restaurant. There's a tavern. There's all kinds of stuff. And then, as I mentioned, FSB DAC, Wentworth by the Sea in Newcastle, New Hampshire. And I will be speaking at that event. Would love to see all of you there. It's a casual conference. It's kind of intimate. We bring together some of the best financial tech people, researchers, company leaders, Bitcoin enthusiasts, people like me who do a lot of crypto plus real estate, talk about how real estate opportunities take some of your digital assets and translate them into real property. And we'll talk about securities, assets, DAOs, maybe this DAO registry that's now, there's an RFP out for that. So I hope to see a lot of you there to enjoy an exciting day together. On Monday, as well, as part of this Full Fest, there is a family hike on Monday from 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. till noon. Finish off your weekend with a hike at the Massabesic Auburn Center. So that is in Manchester. You will take this lovely walk through the woods into the looping past the lake and then back to the Audubon Center. And you can RSVP with Amber Davies, and that takes place at 26 Audubon Way in Auburn. Also on Monday night, last but not least, there will be a family film night from 6 to 9 p.m. And that is a way to wrap up the whole long weekend that you would now have spent here in New Hampshire. And that will be taking place at the Independence Inn on Monday, October 13th. And it'll be watch A Bug's Life with your family and discuss the liberty aspects with your friends. All right, so that is the highlights of what's coming up this weekend. But of course, you can always go to fsp.org/calendar, poke around there, see what's coming up. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to our moving director, our sort of liaison, the face of the org in some ways, Chris Lopez, who would be happy to connect you with people to make your visit to New Hampshire as optimal as possible. I am not actually going to read through all the events, but I will just sort of, or all the details, I'll just kind of quickly list what is coming up in general as well. So today, which is Monday, October 6th, I thought it was the 5th, so go figure. In Claremont from 5 to 7 p.m., so currently happening, there is a Claremont EdOpt Expo, and that will be at the Claremont Savings Bank Community Center in Claremont. So Claremont, of course, is the sort of nexus of all our school problems here in New Hampshire, meaning that they are a terribly run school district that has literally cost the rest of the state millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. It's all about lawsuits that basically go down to its nuts and bolts. It's like, what does the word cherish mean? And of course, over the time, the word cherish education, which is in our Constitution, has now been interpreted by the courts as you must pay for it, instead of being like, oh, we should appreciate that people can read and write so that they can be good citizens and not be a burden on the state. But of course, all of that's been lost to history. So EdOpt Expo and EdOpt itself, you can find more information at edopt.org. That is an organization run by Jody Underwood, and it is to really help educate everyone in the state about their education options for their children. Also today, Monday, from 6 to 8 p.m., there is the Liberty and Cigar Meetup, and that one is at Twin Smokes Shop, and that's hosted by Sarah Faber. Thank you, Sarah, for doing that one, and it is out in Londonderry. Oh, Tuesday. Always on Tuesdays, what happens? Tuesdays are Taproom Tuesday right here in Manchester, hosted by Bill and Gail. They've been doing it for literally decades. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that will take place at Murphy's Taproom in Manchester. Wednesday is a full day here, Lancaster, 8:30 to 10:30 a.m. North Country U.S. History class. That one is geared towards teenagers and adults, with a full survey course designed to help students think critically about history. It's almost like, you know how they say history is written by the victors? So sometimes you got to parse it out a little better, right? Okay, that one's at the Pine. Course taught by New Hampshire State Rep Calvin Beaulier. And awesome guy. I'm working with him on some bills here to get body cam police footage to be subject to our freedom of information. That's at the Pine on Wednesday. In Concord, this is a new thing being spearheaded by Pedro, who is a new mover from Puerto Rico. He's doing this really cool drop-in co-working kind of thing in Concord. So it is a co-work space where you can go for free. It's in an office suite in downtown Concord, where you can work on your Liberty projects and sort of connect with other people who are doing this WeWork kind of stuff. And you can contact Pedro at his phone number is listed at fsp.org/calendar, and then PM him for the address. In Plymouth, 6 to 8:30 p.m., we will have the Pemmy Valley Porcupines. That one's hosted by Aubrey Friedman at Biederman's Deli. Always on Wednesdays, what happens? We have Pork Report. That one is hosted by Executive Director Eric Brakey, where he sits down to interview the latest movers and shakers to the Great Free State. That is always to be found on YouTube. Thursday, October 9th, Exeter, 6 to 9 p.m. Exeter Liberty Outreach Meetup. That one is hosted by Jenny and Brian at Margarita's Mexican restaurant in Portsmouth Avenue in Exeter. Friday, Lancaster, there's the North Country Women's Circle. That's a potluck. Bring whatever you want. You can make a donation. Basically, it is hosted by Jen at the Pine in Manchester. Also on Friday at the Pine, Also on Friday in Hampton from 6 to 8:30, Free State musicians meet up at One Accord Studios, and that one's hosted by Billabite Smith, and it takes place in Hampton. All right, Saturday and Sunday, we're almost at the end. If you guys are like, what is going on? She's going too fast, she's going too slow, she's going just right. You can find all the information at fsp.org/calendar, or better yet, sign up for the newsletters, which I just cribbed from. And there's one that goes out on Sunday nights that'll tell you all the stuff that is happening. And then there is another one that Eric Brakey, the executive director, puts out at the end of the week, sort of saying, this is what's been in the news. These are some of our wins and successes. This is what you can expect. Why? The more you learn about the wonderful things we're doing here in the Free State, the more you are going to want to move here, because the quality of living is hard to beat. It is the safest place in the United States, and the unparalleled beauty and just kind of like great quality of living. Worth it. Totally worth it. I know asking people to move is a big ask, but honestly, I moved in 2008 and I haven't regretted it for one moment. Well, maybe once during like a really long winter. All right, so Saturday, Lancaster, 12 to 5, North Country Game Day Potluck. That one is hosted by Amy up at the Pine Clubhouse in Lancaster. Londonderry, 1:30 to 4 p.m. That's part of the full Freedom Festival, and that one is the apple picking. Okay, so then we talked about in Madison, 4 to 6 p.m., Carroll County Freedom Potluck. This one is the monthly meetup in the Carroll County area. That one is hosted by Mark and Michelle, and you can call the landline and you can get the number at fsp.org/calendar to learn more. Also on Saturday, there is the axe throwing here in Manchester. Unfortunately, man, there's a lot going on that weekend. So I would love to actually go and do this, but I don't think I will be able to, but I hope people will go and support them with this event. On Sunday in Lancaster, Newcastle. All right, 8:30 to 4 p.m. on Sunday, we have the FSB DAC 2025. That's the 7th year of us doing this incredible Bitcoin crypto conference hosted by Chainstone Labs. Great shout out and thanks to the Fentons for their generous support of that event. Porcupine Real Estate will be there with bells on. I'm doing a talk with Ledgeview Commercials broker and my broker, Matthew Ping, about how the Bitcoin market looks in New Hampshire, how the Bitcoin to housing stuff is. We'll show you guys some listings of houses and break down the prices so you can get a sense of, oh, maybe I could hold all of this, but maybe I could also, I don't know, buy a house on a lake. You know what I'm saying? All right, last but not least, here are the last 4 events for Sunday. We have Ossipee, 12 to 2 is the Ossipee's Porcupines meetup. That one is hosted by Tim Bowman, and it's at Harley Jack's Burgers and Brews in Ossipee. In Concord, from 12 to 10 p.m., the Agora Halloween Costume Party. This is a private event where folks are free to voluntarily trade and barter, host workshops, presentations, listen to music, and play games. So this is going to be the sort of mini Agora. So if you have your costume and you want to go try it out, Concord, 12 to 10 p.m. at the Prickle in Concord. Laconia, the Family Full Freedom Fest. It's that arcade day up at Fun Spot in Laconia. And then last but not least, it is also from 4 to 7 p.m. the Grafton Potluck for Friends of Liberty. So that is for Free Staters and friends. That one is hosted by Brian in Grafton. So my point being, lots going on this week in the Free State. You have been warned that the temperature is going to drop from 85 to 65, like the temperature saw a state trooper. And be careful out there. Statism is on the rise, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. There are like a lot of things that we should be calling out more. And I would love to welcome more people to the Free State. So if you are liberty curious, come out this weekend. It's a great time of year to come. There is a lot going on. It can only be a fun time. And the more you connect with the community, you'll find your peeps, you'll find your tribe, you'll feel relief, to be honest, to be like, oh, actually there are other people who understand and see the world I do. And so the more, the merrier. I would love to see everyone this weekend. If you see me around, come say hi. I love meeting new people, and I love encouraging more people to move to our great state. I will be back here again tomorrow. Today was 278 days straight that I have jumped on X to tell you about my life in the Free State. I'll see everyone back here again tomorrow. Peace out, guys. And out here to peace out. Thanks for joining me, guys.